will try to punish you for other reasons, so you shut the up. So others that are also on that same wavelength see what you go through, and they think twice before saying some shit like that. It's an insult to New Yorkers, Cuomo says, pointing to Mamdani's appearance with podcaster Hasan Piker, who's been criticized for statements about Israel. He is asked about Mamdani's accusation that his attacks are Islamophobic. That's it. I cannot
with Wendy and Sal to Churchill.
I can't stress this enough. How like insincere and unserious of a campaign this has been. It almost feels like he hates me more than Zohran at this point.
Have 9/11 illness.
I like that he's trying to mask the very obviously like racialized attacks, calling Zohran a jihadist and shit by being like, no, I was just saying he's gonna do 9/11 because he loves Hasan, who is another Muslim guy who loves 9/11, I think. I cannot believe Mayor Adams' fall from grace chatters. He went from saying all my haters will be waiters at my table of success to becoming a waiter at Andrew Cuomo's table of misery. How did this happen to my goat? How could this have happened to my goat? This was his response to being asked about this, by the way. Yeah, Cuomo's talking about what he says in Mamdani's inexperience. Rosenberg suggests Mamdani would cheer another 9/11. Cuomo says deadpan, ha, then adds, that's another problem. Cuomo then continues talking about Mamdani's ability to handle a crisis. And then, in the most disingenuous way possible, he just keeps going, no, you don't understand. It's because he actually went on a podcast with HasanAbi Piker, one of the architects of 9/11. Both myself and Zohran Mamdani were 8 years old when 9/11 happened, okay? I was in Turkey. Zohran was in New York. We were both 8. Being all buddy-buddy with Adams and shitting on the voters, definitely going to get him all the votes, sure, buddy. It's just like such an obvious disingenuous line of attack. Asked about the exchange about 9/11 and Sid Rosenberg this morning, Cuomo says, I didn't make that comment, and then pivots to Hasan Piker and Mamdani. Like, you can go on the conservative radio talk show host Sid Rosenberg's show to accuse the next mayor, potentially the first Muslim mayor of New York, as wanting 9/11 to happen, and that's not an indictment, okay? And then when asked why you said that, you could turn around and be like, well, how about Hasan Piker, who was talking about the concept of blowback in 2019 that I'm cynically going to use over and over again? It's just so demented. How the asymmetry here is so demented. This is one of the other reasons why I always tell liberals and specifically leftists online to wake up and smell the goddamn roses, okay? All of this stuff is disingenuous. You need to look at what a person actually represents without getting duped so easily by dumb who don't give a shit about you, your worldview, or are only cynically making it seem as though they're on your side. So many Nazis online nowadays know how easily tricked leftists are, know how easily duped leftists are, know how easily duped liberals are, or let's just say were. Okay, so they use that as a tool of division. And Andrew Cuomo is demonstrating it through and through. Do you understand? I don't think I played that formative of a role in the New York mayoral primaries. Okay, I don't think I played that formative of a role. I'm sure like there was, it wasn't bad that we were early in our support for Zohran Mamdani in this community. But the very fact that Andrew Cuomo is singling me out as though I'm like some kingmaker is ridiculous. And the only reason why he's doing that is because he has an extremely online group of people in his campaign. Yeah, only look at the title. This is the guy whose show he went on. New York radio host, liberal Jews are killing us. This is Sid Rosenberg. Okay? This is the show that Andrew Cuomo went on. This person has a infinitely worse reputation right now and infinitely worse politics right now. What are we talking about? I use this as an example. When I was talking about like Andrew Cuomo going on the Impulsive podcast. Like, are we really doing guilt by association? when you are so desperate for a crumb of clout that you went on Logan Paul's podcast? Get the fuck out of here. Who's the shiny guy on the right? That's Sid. That is Sid Rosenberg, the conservative podcaster radio show host. Do you think this is actually changing anyone's mind on voting for Zohran? No, it's not. That's why it's so stupid. Okay? That's why it's so stupid. Because the greatest way to just sever this is for it's such a stupid line of attack. It's such an idiotic line of attack. And all it is doing is it's not convincing anybody. No one is going, oh my God, I was really going to vote for fast and free buses. But it turns out Zohran went and did a Twitch stream with a person who in 2019 said America deserved 9/11 when talking about American foreign policy and the concept of blowback, a concept that there is academic consensus around. Well, this has really made me reconsider my stances. Like, that's not a real thing. Okay? That's not a real thing at all. At most, and even then, the success of this line of attack is not going to, like, at most, it would try to tarnish my credibility or my reputation, okay? And that would only work for like a brief period. That wouldn't have like a long-standing impact, you know? This is unironically like, oh, I can't believe Zohran would go on Joe Rogan, but this time cynically being pressed by Andrew Cuomo and his failure of a candidacy, his failure of a campaign. In any case, it's just not, this is not like, this is not a significant problem for the Zohran campaign at all. It's not even a significant problem for someone like myself. It's just at most going to do reputational damage to me for like a week. And then people that hate me are going to use this as an opportunity to be like, oh, everybody hates you, law. And then what? Okay. A week later, the Trump administration is going to continue doing its fascism, and people are going to realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe we were wrong about this dude. This has been my entire career. People get whipped up in a frenzy over nonsensical shit, whether it's because I bought a house or whether it's because I leased a Porsche or whatever or because they've imagined that I'm like abusing my dog by, because she sleeps behind me for extended periods of time. I can't believe dogs sleep in the same cot. You know, it's just people make up their minds and then they realize maybe they were duped. It is what it is. The reality of the matter is the reason why they hate that Zohran and I linked up is not because of my 2019 comments about 9/11. It's because I've been a proud, loud Israel advocate for the past 10 years, and it's been especially important for the past 2. That's it. It's the majority position, and these guys can't contend with it, so they have to angle different kinds of attacks without saying that it's because he's saying Israel. Back in the day, for the past 2 years, they kept repeating, oh, well, this guy's anti-Semitic. He says Israel. This guy's anti-Semitic. This guy's anti-Semitic. And it didn't work. And it stopped working. So now they have to find other shit to be like, well, we'll punish you for other reasons. We'll try to punish you for other reasons. So you shut the up. So others that are also on that same wavelength see what you go through, and they think twice before saying some shit like that. It's an insult to New Yorkers, Cuomo says, pointing to Mamdani's appearance with podcaster Hasan who has been criticized for statements about Israel. He is asked about Mamdani's accusation that his attacks are Islamophobic. That's it. So this is not me speaking specifically to the right. Okay? This is not me specifically speaking to the right. This is me specifically speaking to leftists and sometimes, and in many instances, liberals that fall mercy to the cynical framing adopted by right-wing reactionary figures. Right-wing reactionaries can dupe you so easily. Make up your own mind. think about why this person, under different circumstances, would never bring up a point like this. Think about how silly it would look if the roles were reversed. If people were talking about how, like, oh, did you go on a podcast with Sid Rosenberg? Like, no one gives a shit, right? That's it. I beg leftists and liberals, to exercise a little bit more scrutiny instead of immediately jumping on the piling, on the witch hunt, on the pile drives that are oftentimes being directed by reactionary forces. Don't be stupid. Don't be a sucker. Here's Andrew Cuomo's response to his interview this morning with that Zohran Mamdani and others have condemned as Islamophobic. He doesn't say much, pivots criticism to Hasan Piker's comments, which Mamdani has condemned. This shit can't work. We have to move past this era of politics, man. Yeah, it's just like it's so stupid, but unfortunately, sometimes people do get due for it. It's not going to work in this race, okay? It's not going to work in this race, but it is a far larger problem that must be addressed at some point, okay? Because if liberals and leftists get tuned up with the outrage manufacturing machine and demand infallibility from their candidates or their advocates or their allies, and assume that everyone is morally pure, that you're not going to have disagreements sometimes with the people that you are aligned with. If you cannot comprehend that this is a normal human component, is a normal part of solidarity, is a normal part of how you build a mass movement, people of all different backgrounds, people of all different worldviews and experiences, you are not going to win anything, and you are constantly going to be wondering, why are there no other big leftist content creators out there? Why are there no perfect advocates out there? I don't understand. There is no such thing as a perfect advocate. Okay? That doesn't exist. There are people who just haven't had the same level of scrutiny that has been deployed to those at the top. That's it. Okay? And especially given the confines of this format that I exist in, you can do this all the time. Look no further than the woe is me. No, this is not about me, man. This is not. I think you are cynically trying to make it seem like I'm trying to talk about myself or how much I am unimaginably and unfathomably privileged. Okay? 1,000,000%. I have many different forms of privilege that allow me to at least eat it all the fucking time. Okay? There are plenty of others who don't have that. Okay? There are plenty of others who don't have that privilege. I like the news coverage. Well, this is also analysis. This is analysis that is pertinent to one of the biggest weaknesses that liberal and left-wing movements have. Okay? It's majorly consequential. It has nothing to do with someone like myself. I'm just simply another example. You talk about yourself a lot. Well, one, I'm a Twitch streamer. Of course, I'm going to pull from my own personal experiences. That's number one. And number two, I didn't ask to be fucking consistently weaponized in this New York mayoral race by a charlatan who wants to mask his Islamophobic and racist ass takes by constantly going, well, they deserve it because he's Muslim. They deserve it because he's Muslim and he went on a podcast with another Muslim guy who was talking about blowback that I'm going to insincerely, consistently talk about in 2019. You know? as long as the left maintains this like impossible standard for themselves that no human being, themselves included, have not actually matched, okay, we're just not going to ever win anything.